And everything that shines in the sky is really producing its own light. Surprising, right? Yes. Take this famous picture for example. This is named as the pale blue dot. That pale blue dot there, that tiny speck, that's us. That's home. That's Earth. It looks like it's glowing in the space, but it's not really a source of light. The same is true for the moon. On full moon nights, its light is strong enough for us to walk without a torch or a street lamp. And yet the moon is not a source of light. So some objects are true sources of light, while others only appear bright. So what exactly is a source of light should be the next question. A source of light is anything that gives out or emit light on its own. The most important one for us is, or the most important natural source of light for us is the sun. Why do we call it natural source of light? Because it exists without human intervention. The light exists without human intervention. It makes life on Earth possible. Stars in the night sky, the flashes of lightning generated fire. I'm specifying lightning generated fire because all fire is not a natural source of light. There are man-made fires, like a candle is a man-made fire, but it's not a natural source of light. But the fire generated by lightning, remember the key word is no human intervention. So if the fire is caused without a human intervention, these are all can be called as natural sources of light. But there are some surprising ones too. Fireflies you might have seen glowing in the dark. Then there are deep sea creatures that shine in complete darkness. All of these produce light. Humans always wanted to create light when it was dark. Our first artificial source was fire torch. Again, by artificial we mean the fire generated by human intervention. The light or the source of light generated by human intervention is artificial source of light. And our first is a fire torch. We had candles, we used to use candles, we used to use kerosene lamps or oil lamps. Then came gas lamps. Then finally, electricity changed everything, right? Today, most of our lighting needs are met by this bulb, tube lights, LEDs, and this artificial source of light are so common now. It's hard to imagine life without them, right? Yes, it is hard to imagine without light. Now, let's try to clear up the difference why all objects shining are not a source of light. Objects that gives out their own light, right? There are objects that gives out their own light, and objects like sun gives their own light, whether it is natural source or artificial source. Sun gives out light by its own light. Stars gives its own light. Candle flame gives its own light. Fireflies gives its own light. The sea creature is giving its own light. All these are called luminous objects, right? So the one that generates or have own source of light are called luminous objects. Now, objects that do not produce their own light, but they reflect. See, vision requires light to reflect, which you will study in later higher classes. How do we see things, right? The table, for example, you can see the table, the chair, the trees, everything is because there is light reflecting from them. Now, objects like this, the earth, the moon, your chair, your notebook, your pen, these objects do not produce light on their own, and they are called non-luminous objects, right? They only become visible when light from a luminous source falls on them. The moon, for example, may look bright in the night sky because it's actually shining with the light reflected from the sun. In fact, most things around us are non-luminous if you look at it. We see them only because light bounces off them into our eyes. Remember the photograph that I showed you at the very beginning? Well, here is the story behind it. The picture was taken by a space probe called the Voyager, and it was taken several billions of kilometers away from Earth. Now, why do we even see Earth like that, as just a speck of light? It's not because Earth is a source of light, it's because sunlight falls on the Earth and reflects. That reflected light traveled all the way through space and was captured by Voyager's camera, which is traveling out of the space. And that's the story behind the photograph, the now famous picture of Earth that I showed you in the very beginning. So let's quickly recap what we have learned today. We've learned that a source of light is anything that emits light on its own. There are two types of sources of light, a natural source of light and artificial source of light. Natural source of light where sun, stars, lightning, fireflies, sea creatures, right, that emit light, and artificial sources where like oil lamp, candle, bulbs, LEDs, tube lights. These are all natural sources of light. And then we saw that there are certain objects that produce their own light. They are called luminous objects, like sun, star again. And the objects that do not produce light but only reflect it are called non-luminous objects. These are the key ideas or the key takeaways from this video that you need to remember.